Hello, I'm Charlize and today I'm going to be reviewing The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm in a costume for this one because the whole colour scheme of the circus in this book is black and white. So yeah, I kind of fail, but this has stripes and it's mainly black and white stripes, and then this, yeah, it's black, and then I have eyeliner on because I'm special. And it took effort, okay? Guys, this book is amazing. It took me a while to get through just because I kind of didn't feel like reading because I just got out of school and I wanted to do like everything else except for read. But I enjoyed it so much. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and I would recommend this to anyone who likes beautifully written books. It's not action-packed and like a page turner, but it is beautifully written. The characters are amazing. Every single character is completely different. There are so many characters in this book and they're all so different. But I'm just going to start off with a plot summary. I went into this not knowing anything at all. I only knew basically what it said on the back, which is the circus arrives without warning, no announcements precede it, it is simply there when yesterday it was not. So that's a really cryptic summary. I'm going to give you guys a bit more than that. Like, that's kind of like intriguing already. It's like a weird circus that only comes at night time and there's no announcements, and it travels, but like it travels in a weird way and no one knows where it's going to go, and people follow it around, try to follow it around. So basically this follows two main characters who are probably those two on the front. I'm not going to tell you their names because that's kind of a bit of a mystery at first as well, but these two characters, they're part of a game, and for the whole book you are uncertain about what this game is, and these two characters are trained for this game, and then they don't meet, they don't know who each other are, they just know they're being trained, and they don't know the rules of the game, they don't know how to win the game. Like, the reader doesn't even know what the game is, and you don't find out until about like here, and that's basically the whole mystery of the book is what is up with this circus, why is it such a big part of the story, and what is this game? So this book is set in the past, and it is set in all sorts of places, in Germany, England, it's all over Europe, I think. It's because the circus travels, I'm not really sure, like, it's just set in a lot of places, and this book can get a bit confusing. That's why I think some people don't like it. Like, I think most people that I've seen reviews of did enjoy this book like I did. I loved this book so much, but it can get a bit confusing. If you try to read it too fast, I can see how it would get confusing because the time sort of jumps around, and like for me, when I read books that have dates at the start of every chapter, how am I supposed to remember what the date was? Like, yeah, it didn't confuse me much, though. It's not a huge thing if you don't, like, if you're not keeping up with what date it is, but yeah, that can get a bit confusing. The chapters are really short though, so it's not a big problem. Another interesting thing about this book is that there are parts of it that are told in the second person, which I don't think I've ever actually seen in a book. They always use the third person or the first person, and the whole book is set in third person, but there are little bits, and you can tell because they have a big gap at the sides and they don't have a date at the top, that's how you tell. And they basically just give these really vivid descriptions of the circus itself, and when you read this book you feel like you are in the story. Like, every time I picked this up I felt like I was there, and that's what made me enjoy it so much. And these second person bits, they really helped with it, and I'll read you part of one of them. You step into a bright open courtyard surrounded by striped tents. Curving pathways along the perimeter lead away from the courtyard, turning into unseen mysteries dotted with twinkling lights. There are vendors traversing the crowd around you, selling refreshments and oddities, creations flavoured with vanilla and honey, chocolate and cinnamon. A contortionist in a sparkling black costume twists on a platform nearby, bending her body into impossible shapes. And it just keeps going, and okay, this circus, there's a lot of different tents. Like, it's not like a normal circus, it just has one big tent. There are heaps of tents, and you can get lost in this circus, and sometimes these second person things describe one of the tents, and these tents are weird. They're weird. This book starts out with Hector Bowen, and he is an illusionist, but he's not the usual illusionist that you would see in a circus. because he uses actual magic, and the people that visit the circus don't know about magic. They all just think it's like illusion, not magic. And that's the interesting thing about this book, is that it involves magic and fantasy elements, and I really, really loved the magic in this book. It was magical. One of my favorite parts of this book had to be the romance, and I can't tell you anything really about the romance, but it's such an amazing romance. It wasn't like an instant thing. It took the whole of the book to develop, but you kind of don't see it coming at all. Like, and then when it happens, you're like, oh, that's so good. Like, I actually have a little thing that notes this one part. See, I have a little note that has one of the scenes of this romance, and it was just such an amazing romance, and it made me so happy, and it made me cry of happiness, not sadness, don't worry. And this book, it's not a happy book, it's not a sad book. It can get a bit dark, but generally it's just really enchanting and just mysterious and like fantasy magic. So the only problems, as I've said, that you would be able to find with this book is the pacing, and you could get confused with the dates. The pacing, I didn't have a problem with it at all. I could have read this book all the way through, I think, if like I was that fast and if I wasn't lazy, but I found it interesting all the way through. There was like, there's not really any action, but I just, that's the only problem we'd find, is the pacing. And because it is quite a long book, it's about 500 pages long. So like I said, I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. It is one of my favorites of 2013, and I would recommend this to anyone who wants more books that are kind of like well written and you just want to get engrossed in a world. To me, this book is sort of on the level of The Book Thief and A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. Just how they're not based around action, they're based around character building, and that's another thing. This book takes place over the span of about 30 years, so there is a lot of character development, and the story develops over a long period of time. So that's why it's not that action-packed, because it's not focusing on the action, it's focusing more on the character development and the game, the mystery of the circus itself, and the game that I still can't tell you what the game is. So that is all I have for this review. Please comment below if you have read this book and let me know what you thought about it, because I've heard some mixed things. I haven't heard anyone that like hated it though. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!